Awesome. Well, I know people are still filing in, Brian, but I also saw how many slides you have. So, Brian, I'm going to go ahead and get this started. I want to welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our very first One West Academy, our quarterly edition. We are thrilled to bring this new education program to the membership, and we're really excited to have Brian and the 26 Digital team with us for the next couple of months as we get a fan favorite, Brian Matson, and then Nick Danowski from his team as well, that will present in February and March. So again, thank you so much for joining us. And Brian, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for this opportunity, Melissa. This what actually surprisingly, LinkedIn is one of my most favorite presentations to give these days, because a lot of people kind of give me that like LinkedIn kind of look whenever I bring this up. But man, LinkedIn, we can do a ton of this stuff. So I set myself up for success here with 170 slides in the next hour. That's kind of how I like to do things. So let's just kind of dive right into this thing. And I think there's going to be a little bit of something here for everybody, whether or not you're in group sales, your sports sales, but even for your personal brand and just overall organization. I think we got some good stuff here. If you're not familiar with who I am, I've been in travel tourism since 2003, marketing director at Fargo for many years, and currently director of education and strategy at 26 Digital. We're a 100% digital agency. We're focused on travel, tourism, hospitality. I think I got to update this slide. I think we just went over 60 years of combined travel tourism experience on our team. So, man, we got some long haulers in the group, and we're just based outside of Ann Arbor, Michigan, in Brighton, Michigan. For some of you, some of these faces are going to be pretty familiar because we do have quite a number of One West Alliance clients, and we do a whole slew of different work. We also work with destinations large and small all across the US. So, yeah, we got a good lay of the land. And again, diving into LinkedIn today, I think this is something that's really timely. A lot of CVBs that I work with and coach and consult, they're not really leveraging this tool for the groups market, especially. So I think we got some good stuff. So let me just kind of lay the groundwork here and let's get into this. So the first thing I just kind of want you to be thinking about a little bit is, when's the last time that you logged in to your own personal LinkedIn account? And then let's take that one step further here. And when was the last time that you actually posted something on LinkedIn? And then also kind of the low hanging fruit on LinkedIn, which I think is one of the easier things that all of us can do, is when's the last time you liked, commented, or shared a post on LinkedIn? We'll dive into some strategies here today. We'll go pretty deep on LinkedIn. So the one thing I will say for DMOs is having a dedicated LinkedIn strategy is pretty key. And I don't see very many that actually have one in the works. LinkedIn's got a little bit of a bad rap, I think, over the years, and we have a little bit of an antiquated view of what this network actually is. It is way more than just a resume or where you keep your work history. It's actually a full-blown social media network. And in fact, it crossed 1 billion users last year. So there are a ton of people using this network. I thought this stat was really interesting when it comes to LinkedIn, is that millennials, 24 to 34-year-old, they actually dominate LinkedIn. All right. They make up 47% of the users. And then strangely, this even more blew my mind a little bit was Gen Z, 18 to 24s, they're 28%. If you're looking for the older folks, LinkedIn's really not it. Only 3.3% of users are 55 plus here on LinkedIn. So, this is a good place for young professionals to really be networking, building those relationships, and kind of building a little bit of a foundation for both their personal brand, but also the organizations in which they represent. One little kind of a nuance with LinkedIn is that most people still use LinkedIn on desktop computers, 69%. Only 31% are actually using it on mobile. Of course, we're seeing mobile kind of trend up a little bit, but for the most part, it's still kind of a desktop use thing. Maybe kill a little time while you're working in the office. I don't know. Multi-image carousels are the top performers, 6.6% engagement rate. I throw that in there just because, if you're going to be posting on LinkedIn, might as well use the carousels. All right. They're the top performer on that network. And also videos. Don't overlook videos when it comes to LinkedIn as well. They're seeing strong engagement, 5.6%. And they also saw a 40% boost from last year. Think vertical video, think short video when it comes to LinkedIn. That seems to be where they're moving the needle. I don't want to say that they're like trying to compete with TikTok and Reels and things. I think it's just more kind of the nature of the beast right now. That's the content people are consuming, and they've got a platform built out just for that. So the best posting windows, this is probably one of the number one questions I get all the time when it comes to LinkedIn. Tuesdays and Thursdays are your go-to days between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m. and 1 and 4. So generally, anytime on Tuesdays and Thursdays is going to be your best bet when it comes to posting on LinkedIn. So today I'm going to kind of outline a little bit of a content strategy or a content plan for LinkedIn and kind of keep that in mind as we roll through. Now, the other piece of the puzzle here is that 75% of B2B buyers say social media influences their purchasing decisions. And again, LinkedIn is a social network and it's a great place for doing business, all right, especially within this group place. Also, 59% of B2B buyers actively consume creator content on LinkedIn. So, think those blog articles, the e-newsletters, the different videos and things that people are creating. So, people are learning about their industries. They're getting educated on kind of trends and things like that on LinkedIn. It's a great place to just kind of develop yourself in your industry. 82% say it directly influences their purchasing decisions. 79% engage at least once a month. I would challenge you to be a little bit more active than once a month, but 79% to do something. I'm not going to cough at that either. That's not bad. One little piece of important insight that I'll throw out here that as of 2025, it looks like LinkedIn is rewarding posts that feel real and relevant. One of the things that we see, even some of our clients and even some of the content that we see from DMOs on LinkedIn tends to be pretty produced, tends to be a lot of like very commercially driven. Maybe they do a 30-second promo for meetings, conventions, or sports tournaments, things like that. Just like kind of the trend with every other social network right now, that authenticity is starting to creep its way back into this stuff. So don't be afraid to be a little bit more, I don't know, raw when it comes to your LinkedIn content. Let your personalities show a little bit. I think that can help you kind of differentiate yourself from some of the, marketing BS that a lot of us see. I mean, again, remember the consumers, BS meter, for like advertising marketing alone is pretty well refined today. So the more authentic we can be, the better. LinkedIn's really not what it used to be. Most people thought, we just post our jobs. If I'm looking for a new job, I'll update my LinkedIn profile. It's really a place where people are going to connect. They're going to share their thoughts, their opinions on things that are happening, and they stay in the loop with people. I can personally tell you, LinkedIn is kind of my go-to when I'm at conferences. If I meet you, we have a conversation, chances are I'm whipping out a QR code, to say, hey, scan this, let's connect on LinkedIn, etc. So it's a really powerful sales tool for me alone, just at 26 Digital. And it really is a way for me to kind of connect with my industry colleagues and things. So don't be sleeping on it at all. Hopefully just kind of looking at some of those stats can kind of make yourself kind of intrigued about some of these opportunities that we have within LinkedIn, because there are a lot of tools that we can use. A lot of times, from a marketing approach, especially for groups, meetings, conventions, stuff like that, we've kind of taken a little bit of a carpet bombing approach to where maybe we're leveraging some broad, paid search, things, or print programming, stuff like that. LinkedIn is an opportunity for us to kind of abandon kind of a broad brush when it comes to getting awareness for things and really going to find those unicorns. Because really, when you're in the group space, when you're looking at, we're trying to find convention planners, we're trying to find sports planners. This is a pretty small group of people that we're looking for in this space. So LinkedIn has a number of tools available to us that can help us kind of boil everything down to go find the people that are actually going to matter. We just need to kind of deploy and use those tools in order to have an impact. So for today, kind of our strategic principles is let's be more visible online for both our organizational LinkedIn page and of course our organization, but also our individual or our personal brand LinkedIn pages. Okay, these play together, and by the end of today's webinar, you're really going to see that. We also want to identify content opportunities that are going to resonate with those unicorns that we're really looking for, and I've got some great examples that I can walk you through today. The other piece of the puzzle is, of course, organic LinkedIn is fine. You can build some awareness that way. But as you're drilling down into the funnel and you're acquiring different engaged audiences, deploying some paid opportunities can be a real win. So towards the end of the webinar, I want to talk a little bit about some of those paid opportunities that we have. And I'll even lay out kind of a sample ad plan that maybe you could execute. And then the hardest one, and I've been doing coaching and consulting for a long time now, and getting people, especially sales teams, to really start leveraging LinkedIn is really hard. I don't want to say it's like kind of begrudgingly or trying this stuff, but I do think LinkedIn should be a little bit more of an important piece in the marketing funnel here for what we're doing here. So we got to develop some skill sets. We got to get people using some of the tools. So I'll give you a little bit of an overview on that. So overall goals, let's build some brand awareness. And then that brand awareness is going to assist us in building some relevant audiences that we can then kind of turn into paid opportunities and eventually lead to hopefully some RFPs and people connecting, setting up some appointments, things like that. The last little piece here that I'll touch on as well, it's important in this industry. We're all traveling all over the place. We're going to different shows. We're going to trade shows. We're going to conferences. Letting people know where we are is also another piece of this. LinkedIn's great. There's a lot of things that can happen within that space, but I will kind of forewarn you a little bit and just say like the wins don't come like instantly, right? Like sometimes we can do some things on, say, Instagram or Facebook, and we're seeing immediate results, right? We're seeing a conversion on a visitor guide, or people are booking the hotels. LinkedIn's a much longer game, and those who can stick with the game definitely start to see some results. In today's webinar as well, I'll showcase a few different DMOs that I think are doing a really great job. Ones that you can maybe follow, maybe just kind of watch what they're doing and kind of rinse and repeat some of the things they're doing. But at the end of the day, LinkedIn is a personal network. Even in the convention sales piece, it's a person-to-person business, right? Our company brand isn't always the most impactful messengers for what we're doing. So anybody on the webinar today, I would just encourage you to, number one, log in, to your LinkedIn account, and let's spend just a little bit of time sprucing things up. My biggest pet peeve personally on LinkedIn, especially like if I'm at a conference or I'm at an event and I know I need to meet somebody, I don't maybe know what they look like, and they've got this really dated photo on their LinkedIn. So like, here's a photo of me, and I have zero gray hair. I have zero gray hair in my beard. I was not using Just for Men or anything like that. But keeping a nice fresh photo that really matches who you really are. I mean, we were all really good looking, 15, 20 years ago or whatever. Just be current with that profile photo. I think that's a big deal. The other thing I would do while you're in there on LinkedIn is, go ahead and become a verified user. There's no harm in doing it, especially if you already have like clear. It's super easy to do. So why not? This is probably out of all the social networks, it's the easiest one to go and be able to actually get verified on. So encourage you to actually do that. So I actually verified using Clear. There's a number of different ways that you can do it, but just go ahead and do that. There's no harm in doing that at all. So update little things and just make sure it's current, and fresh. All right. So the other piece of it is let's update our headline here. So I used to have, marketing strategist, public speaker, educator. Yeah, that sums it up. But really change your headline to say like, what can you do for someone else, right? I can help you enhance your digital marketing efforts to reach your goals, right? That's more direct, and that's going to resonate more with audiences when they're like, hey, that's what I need Brian for. It's not about me, it's necessarily what I can do for you. I think that's a big difference, and a little tweak there can go a long way to kind of set the perspective when people are engaging with you. Just some image optimizations. This is kind of low hanging fruit stuff, but I want to get it out there. Of course, use that current photo. Don't be afraid to show personality on LinkedIn. For some reason, LinkedIn's always had this kind of stuffy feel. It's like, oh, it's got to be so perfect and so professional. Relax a little bit. The workforce and just the overall vibe of things has really chilled out over the years. Show some personality. Use high res photos. For your profile photo, 60% of that frame should absolutely be your face. Try not to go nuts with the filters. All right, a little bit. We all do it a little bit. We filter stuff, but don't go overboard with that. Avoid distracting backgrounds, and whenever possible, use natural light. The cover photo is probably one of the most finicky ones out there. I think maybe YouTube's a little bit worse, but LinkedIn has a very strict kind of size requirement. So I would create a custom cover photo for that as well in that 1584 396, just to make sure everything is looking really, really great. In your profile as well, go and just spend some time. This is like a great Sunday afternoon kind of thing while you're just kind of hanging out. Just go LinkedIn and go and make sure your experiences are all filled out, but also skills and endorsements. Especially if you're in the meeting planner space, you can 100% go and find a bunch of different attributes that you can add to this. And it's one of those pieces that we just see people lacking from time to time. Another little tip I'll give you here as well, your overall bio or your about section. This is where we could really make some dramatic improvements. This is like one of the best kind of layouts or formats that you could do for your bio. Notice there's emojis to kind of make it fun. And I especially really like how it's not giant paragraphs of text, right? It's not a novel about who you are and like what you have done. It's actually a bulleted list of some of your accomplishments, your roles, your duties, things like that. Also, when building this out, don't forget to think, kind of a search engine optimization component. Use strong keywords that relate to your industry and the things that you're offering to people. I always like to tell people to kind of brag about the organization and your current role and not necessarily how awesome you are, because at the end of the day, it is like really a sales tool for what you're currently doing. The other thing is AI is really good at helping spruce up LinkedIn accounts. So here's like just a really, really simple prompt. Can you help me create a to-do list to get me to enhance my personal brand through LinkedIn? I know I'm missing a lot of opportunities on that network. I need to be more proactive in promoting myself and organization. Just doing something like that or prompting AI to help you out in this space can give you like literally a step-by-step kind of tutorial on how to improve your presence within this network. So here's like a 5-step to-do list that was generated literally in like 30 seconds. So super, super, super simple. And it also can break things down. You can take this as far as you want, but it can give you content strategy, what hashtags to be using, what organizations you should be tagging, recommendations for growing your audience. It's super helpful, and not even outside of LinkedIn. Sometimes just taking 2 minutes to go and ask AI to help give you a clear direction or kind of push the boat off the dock can be really, really, really valuable. And kind of back to the bio, it does a really nice job with this too. So you can just be like, hey, can you help me write a compelling about section for my LinkedIn account? You can give it, the link to your LinkedIn account, and it will build you out a really nice, clean about section with those bullets and those little emojis and things that we're talking about. So again, use the tools, right? We have these amazing tools that can kind of simplify our lives and prevent the whole, head on keyboard kind of thing of just stressing out. It's hard to write about yourself. So you can kind of prime the AI and start using that. And then also, can you turn all of this into a daily, weekly, and monthly checklist? I absolutely love this example. It goes and rolls out a daily checklist. Check, engage with 3 to 5 posts, check my notifications, respond to requests. Weekly, publish a post, send some requests, use some hashtags in posts, find some collaborators, etc. And then it just kind of breaks it all down, write an article, find some recommendations, go and look at your analytics to figure out what's going well. So again, you could almost rip and read that checklist right there, and you'd probably be functioning 99% better than most of LinkedIn's audience at this point. People just aren't using the tool, right? It's really overlooked, and I think LinkedIn is really rewarding people who are actively engaged on the network, and you can really reap some benefits of that. So at the end of the day, I mean, just ask the AI to kind of lay out a little bit of a plan for you, and then get into these profile optimizations. This all includes, your different accomplishments, your different interests. The interests are really interesting because you can really dive down into that niche or that different group that you're really working with. Say you're only working with association meetings or you're only working with government meetings. You'd be surprised how many different little groups and interests that you can start to dive into. One other kind of fun one that you can do as well is on the mobile app, you can actually do a pronunciation of your name on it as well. So again, whenever I see a new feature on any network, I tend to want to use it or fill it out, complete it, whatever it is, because new features roll out and they typically want people to use them. So whenever you see something new, you kind of go and do it. So here you go. You can go and record your pronunciation, and that's going to be locked into it as well. So this is all just little stuff that you can do. Additionally, get in there, add your skills. There are, again, a zillion different options that you can go and really start kind of priming your profile for discovery. Go through the skills section and make sure that you add any honors and awards that you've received over the years, like eTourism Summit, back in the day, top rated presenter. You can go ahead, start doing some of those. So I would just encourage everybody to, take 20 minutes, take a half hour, and just let's breathe some new life into your personal LinkedIn account. Now, the other one too, and I don't see a lot of people doing this anymore, but it's kind of a key piece of the network, are the recommendations. So you can ask for recommendations, or you can, better yet, start giving recommendations, right? If you give, you shall receive kind of a situation. So again, don't forget about the recommendations that we can start diving into within this space. I mean, when you start looking at the power of a testimonial, what other people say about you usually carries a lot of weight in what people think about you. Some of the other interests as well, there are a ton of influencer types on LinkedIn as well. I would be sure to be going out, go follow the voices, the companies, the different groups, sign up for newsletters. If you want to connect with colleges or learning centers, things like that, especially if you have, a university locally or something, I think that'd be a really good call. There's just a ton of different things you can do. The other side of it too is I think really prioritizing that LinkedIn is going to be kind of the front end of your prospect building piece. Build your network. I would be, in your email signature, have a link and a call out to connect on LinkedIn. I love the QR code strategy. At a lot of conferences, I'll actually just have a laminated QR code in my pocket and or set my home screen on my phone to the QR code for my LinkedIn. It makes it so painless for people to be able to connect. And then, after the event, I can go and send out some follow-up messages and things like that. So make it a priority to build that network, because that network is going to, it could be very fruitful for you as you move through. So lots of options, lots of different things that you can do, but every little thing that you can do is going to help you with that health of that account and your discoverability. Probably the one recommendation I would give everybody is, what? Let's just spend 5 minutes a day scrolling, liking, and commenting and contributing our thoughts to things. Just a little bit of engagement goes a long way. The one aspect that I really like about LinkedIn is that I see when my network or the people that I'm connected with are engaging with content, right? So when people are liking or sharing or reposting content, I see that. When people, thumbs up things, I'm seeing it as recommendations from somebody or even a brand in some cases. So this is a great way just to get in front of people, right? And have your name pop up and be like, oh yeah, Brian. Well, I've totally forgot about Brian. My life is busy, right? So just some regular engagement, 5 minutes a day can go a long way. And again, this goes for both your company and your personal accounts. We'll get a little bit more into the company pages here in just a second. But engagement is a real thing on LinkedIn. It might have fallen off in favor some of the other social networks. I mean, it's still super important, but I love the visibility of the engagements that you see on LinkedIn. At the end of the day, it's just another way to gain some important impressions and be a little bit more visible on the network. So be sure to publish and share content regularly. Use that share button. And when you do share content, be sure to add your thoughts. I always love it when I see somebody, within the industry, say, "Hey, I found this article from XYZ. I really like this point." Or what do you, or trying to drum up a little bit of a conversation can be very, very helpful as well. I don't know why, but this engagement piece always tends to be kind of I don't want a kind of a situation, but especially if you get the mobile app on your phone or something, it can be pretty, pretty painless account overall. Again, just go spend some time kind of dealing with that. But the other part, and big, but wait, there's more, is this company page. And to me, this is an opportunity for DMOs in a big, big, big way, especially when it comes to, group sales. Okay. So company pages help showcase your company. And the best part about it that I just don't see a lot of people doing is that your company page can actually feed content to the employees of that organization to share on their personal feeds. Okay. So we know this business is like peer to peer, but our brands are an important aspect of it. So if we can contribute thoughtful, engaging, interesting content from the company page and then get our employees to actually amplify that through their personal feeds, you can see some distribution really start to ramp up. The other nice thing about the company pages is that you can really measure the effectiveness of your updates. There are insights, there's data that we can actually look at, like what post types, what themes, all of this. You can promote your most important news, you can showcase some of your services, and you have access to the audience tools, the paid tools to hyper target the unicorns on LinkedIn. So it's kind of a big deal. And I think it's a great way to differentiate your organization from a pretty competitive space when it comes to groups, conventions, sports tournaments, things like that. What you really, really want to avoid, in your company page LinkedIn feed is just to be anywhere USA. Sharing meeting space, showing pictures of conference rooms, things like that. It's, from a destination standpoint, it can be kind of tough. A lot of destinations are kind of like anywhere USA, right? Like a lot of us have the same stuff. It's really true when you start getting into group business and things like that. So it's a little bit harder to find those stories that we can really tell within that space. So focus on some of that, and I've got some great examples coming up for you. One thing I'd also do, for your company page, let's do the same thing we did on our personal. Let's go make sure everything is updated, everything is accurate, and we're telling a compelling story. Again, you can use AI to help kind of fluff some of this stuff up a little bit or give you some additional content ideas in that space. Now, the other piece of company pages that not a lot of people know about are the showcase pages. And I think for DMOs, there's a big opportunity here because really each department of your DMO can have their own showcase page, which really lives under the core branded company page. So you can start thinking about like, everybody kind of gets their own space. They get their own feed where they can share their content and kind of nurture and build their appropriate audience. So you can start to think of like the company page boiling down into a series of showcase pages. And these could vary depending on your network, right? So you could have a showcase page nested under your company page for just association meetings. You could maybe have another one that is just focused on weddings, small markets, celebrations, groups, reunions is another one. And we know like whenever we can kind of customize the feed a little bit, good things tend to happen. And the nice thing about the showcase pages is that they maintain their own following. You can run your own ads underneath a company page or underneath a showcase page as well. So they're kind of little micro bubbles for these little niches that we're working in within this space. So I would encourage you to look at, is it appropriate for maybe our sports sales team to have their own little showcase page under the main brand? And, sports especially, I think it's kind of a no-brainer. I think, meetings, conventions could definitely have their own space, but each one of those could ultimately become another couple showcase pages. Okay. So under meetings, you could have government, you could have reunions, you could have sports, and you could break it down into types of sports and venues and things that you have available. So just something to consider. I don't see a lot of DMOs really diving into some of that. But wait, there's more. There's one other thing, and I've seen some really encouraging things about this one, and it's LinkedIn premium company pages. Okay. So these actually have quite a bit of kind of cool little bells and whistles on this. So you can actually see who is visiting your company page. That's hugely valuable. If you can see that a certain prospect or something has visited the page, let's get in on it. The premium page will also auto invite people to follow that company page. That's invaluable. You can set custom call to actions. You can include and feature different testimonials. There's just a bunch of little tools within this that I think are really valuable. And what I like about this as well is this little price point too. So $840 annually, and you've got yourself a premium LinkedIn company page with all of these different little aspects that can, just help us identify potential leads, potential prospects a little bit easier. For $840, I mean, depending on where you're spending your money, whether it's a full page print ad in a magazine or maybe you're doing some native display here and there, $840 I think is worth a roll of the dice for most of us just to be able to have a little bit better pulse on what's going on with that company page. So there's that piece as well. I would budget for that and I would give it a whirl. If you do test it out, I would love to hear your feedback and the types of things that you've got on it because this is a relatively new offering from LinkedIn. Now, but wait, there's more. This is almost completely new to me. Recently discovered this, but LinkedIn actually has a sales navigator that is built into the platform and integrates with a lot of the things that you're probably already using. So, if you really want to get into it, LinkedIn has a sales tool that is right there ready for you to use. I'd encourage you to go do a free trial and see if it plugs in. Maybe you don't have, like a relationship management tool or anything like that. You're not really using any tech to do some sales. The Sales Navigator is definitely an option for, seeking out different leads and doing some research on some different companies. So Sales Navigator is a really vast platform that, if you don't have some of these other tools, might be worth looking at. Okay. Like say, it's $100 a month, $1,200 a year. I mean, if you book one piece of business off of that, you're in pretty good shape, right? That's a pretty good investment on that. So you can just see here, it can be as simple or as complicated as you really want. And the nice thing is that it'll probably integrate with your CRM as it is now. I know it's like Salesforce integrates flawlessly into it as well. So the one thing that I've picked up off of the Sales Navigator is that it is best for outbound sales, but at the end of the day, it's really kind of up to you what kind of tools that you really want to start deploying here in this space. Now, you can have all the tools in the world, it's like vodka, it might not be the answer, but it's worth a shot. I think in our space with how competitive some of this group business can be, I think having some tools could be very, very valuable. So, looking minimally looking at the premium page, and then maybe Sales Navigator could be something you'd add to the mix. So let's pivot just a little bit because we can't really market ourselves at all, very effectively at least, unless we've put in some work here on our website. And we're still big fans of landing pages and content development and all of those things. I really encourage you. And it's honestly, when we do website audits for DMOs, a lot of times the weakest pages on these websites are like the meetings groups section of the website. Sports is a little bit better. They usually have like maybe their own section that's beefed up, but This section of our websites could definitely use some work. The one of the best ones, honestly, that I've seen is Destination Ann Arbor. They have a really well thought out meetings page on their website, and I'd encourage you to go and check this out and go steal a few ideas because they've got all the pertinent information. They've got their accolades, they've got their team, and they even break down into some different content themes and things as well. And we'll get to that here in just a second. But spend some time and even spend some budget on making those landing pages for meetings, groups, and sports actually more than just a phone number or a quick form. A lot of times they're like kind of this really boring, really bland page. Do some work. Let's make this like really, really enticing. Any little bit of effort that you can put into that page is again, you're probably doing way more than everybody else, including your competitors. So you get kind of a leg up in that realm. The other piece is the content side, right? We need content in order to tell our stories. And, the group sales side can be very, very challenging to do. And in most cases, the DMO side is really, really good at talking about leisure content and the fun things to do. But they're really lacking on the meetings group side. So just some content ideas to help get something rolling on this side. One of the best things you can do is testimonials, okay? If you're not getting testimonials from people who've done business with you, I would 100% start that. And if you can do that from a video perspective, that would be even better because LinkedIn is just absolutely loving anything we can do with video. So I think testimonials and case studies are a really great place to start when it comes to developing content for this particular market. All right. The other one is get personal. Whenever we work with a CVB and we start talking about or posting stories about the team, they're always like the top performing content of that month. Again, this is a people business. So don't be afraid again to get a little bit personal and tell some of the stories and experiences that you've had from your team perspective, because ultimately it's their boots and heels on the ground, right? So let's tell their stories. Anytime you include like a photo or a video of some of your team members, it always has the highest engagement. The other thing you can also do is lean on some of that leisure content that you've already created and then strive to put kind of a spin on it, okay? So we can talk about nightlife or the best breweries or after hours, things like that. But in order for that to really resonate with a meeting planner or event planner, we've got to put a spin on it and kind of frame it in a way that makes them understand. I just put this GIF in here because it's just terrifying at the end of the day. But yeah, put a spin on some of that leisure content. And most DMOs at this point have plenty of content. It's just about reframing it and making sure that it's good. That little kid in the green t-shirt's a freaking hero too, by the way. The other thing that does very well in this space are like itineraries and mapping out the experience. So here's one. It's like tips for your first visit, before you arrive, what that looks like. And you can go through kind of step by step to kind of paint a picture for people as they're moving things. So think about blogs and itineraries. I love some of these blog ideas that Ann Arbor has. It's like 6 unique Ypsilanti attractions for after your meeting, must visit murals you can find in Ann Arbor, 10 ways to give back to the Ann Arbor, Michigan area. And they really put kind of a meetings and group spin on some of this content. And they do a fantastic job. So again, I would go look at some of the things that they've been doing over there. Also, the whole goal here is just painting a picture, right? Like, let's go way beyond room dimensions, and things like that. Let's actually start telling some stories. So I've mentioned Ann Arbor has an incredible landing page, and that website section on their site is great. But I would also take a look at Choose Lansing. They're doing an extremely good job. And then, of course, the Aspen Chamber Resort Association, they're doing fabulous stuff over there as well. So I would look at all of those because sometimes all you need is just to see somebody doing it well and then, kind of copy and kind of develop your own voice and things like that. The other piece, and this is an important one, right? Because if I do go to like your meetings and groups section of your website, chances are you've got a lot of assets. You've probably got a services guide, a meeting planner guide, stuff like that. The problem is that a lot of those assets are trapped in downloadable PDFs. And Google can't really crawl that right now. So all that awesome content that you've got built into these PDFs is not discoverable. So if you do have a bunch of like downloadables on your site, I would really be looking at moving that content and getting it onto landing pages on that website. I think that'd be super valuable because there's some gold nuggets hanging out in there. Okay. And unfortunately, a lot of it I think is going out of sight, out of mind. I mean, try looking at PDFs on mobile devices and things like that too. It just doesn't really work. So yeah, go and turn those PDFs into landing pages that can get indexed and then help you be discovered. The other piece, and many of you probably have heard me kind of rant on some of this before, but it's buttons, buttons, buttons. If you want to lead people down a path and you want people to start converting, maybe submit that form, we got to lead them down a path. And one of the best ways to start people on that path is to include buttons or these interrupters on their actual website. So, top of the, or, above the fold, as they say, whenever somebody's on a screen, any point on it, no matter where they are in their scroll, we should really have, a button visible or a pathway to the next step should be visible on screen at all times. So don't forget to put those buttons top and bottom of landing pages, insert them throughout content, in between paragraphs. Don't forget to link all your images to get people over to forms and submission opportunities. It's crazy when we look at like heat maps and things, we see people clicking in the most random places sometimes. So, when in doubt, link it out. Hyperlinks are still appropriate, but you're going to see a much, much, much higher click-through rate if you start using some of those buttons. The other side of the coin is once you've got this content and you've got some assets to be able to play with, you just ultimately need to be present on the network and start creating some posts. I don't think people realize like how many different post types there really are on LinkedIn. There's a whole ton of different post types that we can use. We can do events, we can do photos, we can create celebrations, we can do different job postings, the polls. Add a document. Those are two massive missed opportunities. There's a whole mixed bag out there of different things that we can do to move beyond just, the link, click, send to the website piece as well. So like the easiest ones, of course, are the text image posts. We've seen these all a million times. I'm going to throw up just a few of these best practices. It's like, just keep some of this stuff in mind. The ideal length is, 300 characters. More images, the better. So very similar to what we're seeing on Instagram. Use carousels or photo albums. Like those are going to get you a little bit more reach than just single image types of posts. So that's another thing to look at. Timing is kind of all over the place. I would still stick to that kind of Tuesday, Thursday timeline. But you'll see as you get more consistent on the network, what's really, really working for you at the end of the day. And then the text image posts, of course, they're good for storytelling, sharing infographics, things like that. And we've seen these a million times. We know what those look like. Here's one that I think we overlook quite a bit, honestly, the PDF posts. You can actually do slideshows with some of this content that we have. We know you have those PDFs already on that site. So why aren't we kind of leveraging some of these document posts that we can do on LinkedIn? Okay. So you can describe what it is, you can get all into the details, and then take these pieces of content that you've probably spent a ton of time and money on and use LinkedIn as a little bit of a distribution channel to get this stuff out there. Kind of a no-brainer. And you know what? They really stand out on the feed as well because nobody's doing this. Whenever you can do stuff that nobody else is doing, it's usually a good thing. The one thing about the document posts is that evenings tend to do a little bit better for those. So if you want to dive into those and maybe test out some of those, I would look at the evening for that. And this is kind of what they look like. They're like, almost like a mini seminar, if you will, to kind of walk people through a sales process or show people some options and things of what they can do and see or where they can book meetings, things like that. Another one that I just never see, and it really surprises me because this is where you can generate a ton of engagement, And we know engagement's super important on LinkedIn. So why wouldn't we be using polls? Keep the length below 500 characters. Engage your audience with polls by, saying, different things. Ask a bunch of questions. You could ask people questions about the industry, about the city. Go nuts, get creative with some of these polls because they're going to generate a ton of engagement. Duration, keep them open. About a week is generally the best practice there. Don't do like one hit, one day kind of things. Put one out there, let it cook for a little while, and then you can do a follow up of the results with like a carousel post or a text post. So people kind of say, "Oh yeah, I did contribute to that poll." If they did contribute to that poll, chances are they're going to be kind of sent they're going to see that post with those results too because they're an engaged user, and that's a great thing. So just pose a clear, straightforward question. Avoid overly niche topics. Go kind of broad with that audience there. But yeah, polls. It kind of blows my mind that more people aren't leveraging that post type from either their personal network or these company pages. The other ones, this one takes a little bit more effort, right? At the end of the day, the articles and newsletters, these can be long form, thought leader types of content that can really start to position your personal brand, especially if you do take the time to do some of this stuff. Okay, it's just another option. It's another content piece that we can do. Additionally, if you're creating articles out there, you can extend the story to other networks and all of this. We've seen these all the time. It doesn't have to be Tony Robbins. I mean, you can write articles yourself and start positioning some of this. Additionally, I would just say if you do see articles that you do find interesting, engage with them, leave comments like Chris does on this example. And again, that's another brand impression for Chris, right? That's all good. You can also do text only posts, and text only posts aren't the worst thing in the world on LinkedIn. Not as much as, some of these other networks. So you can actually go a bit longer form on this, 1,400 characters. The longer you get, the less reach that you're going to see, but you can kind of get into a topic and form a little bit of a story. Investing a little bit of effort in this is not a bad thing. So you don't have to overcomplicate it with content. I think at the end of the day, it just kind of needs to be interesting, right? So text only posts are ideal for storytelling, sharing opinions, right? Everybody loves that. And providing actionable tactics, like maybe tips and tricks or something like that. Fun stuff. We see these all the time. They're just text posts from people that we trust and respect and are always looking for their input. So why can't you do that too? I think there's opportunities for us all in that position. And then don't forget about video. 1 minute videos on LinkedIn are getting some really good distribution, especially in our ad programs. LinkedIn's loving vertical format content. Concentrate on that first 8 seconds, just like you would for any kind of successful reel or a TikTok. Use videos to explain processes, cover different events. This would be awesome for like case studies and testimonials. I would be all over that. You can use those videos in a variety of different things. I mean, the world's kind of our oyster with all this stuff. You could integrate it into the landing pages in the meeting section website just to keep sprucing things up. The one thing with the videos is make sure that you always do have a clear call to action, to get people to actually do something with it. Let's just not watch it. Let's get people actually doing something. So again, think vertical when you're using LinkedIn video. Okay, so it's a huge option. There is one nuance though, and it's pretty fascinating. So right now, there's no way to post your vertical video directly into the LinkedIn video feed. If you look on your app, there's now a separate kind of video section. All you can really do is make a really good video. And then if LinkedIn picks it up, it'll put it in the video feed. So they have some pretty strict quality control when it comes to like where they're going to place these or when they're going to place these videos in that field. So again, use vertical format, keep it short, under 60 seconds. Always using LinkedIn's video tools is a good idea. I mean, in fact, we're kind of seeing that kind of using the native tools to any network tends to be a good thing to do. Include closed captions and use text overlays whenever you possibly can as well. So now let's kind of get into the nuts and bolts of it. Let's lay out a quick strategy and like what this can all look at. Because again, being active and leveraging all these different content types, post types, and things are going to make it work. So how often are you posting now on that LinkedIn company page or even your personal page? It doesn't have to be a painful process. It can be really, really simple. And what I really want to do here in the next few slides here, as we're getting close to wrapping up, is to give you a little bit of a roadmap, kind of just a little bit of a plan to do this. So I'm always a big fan of having a dedicated content calendar. And what's nice about LinkedIn is that it doesn't really take that much to do it. So we've got our recommended frequency on LinkedIn of 1 to 3 per week. All right. And when you're doing this, think about using the LinkedIn scheduling tool as well. Okay. Let's get ahead of the game. Let's say you're only doing, 1 or 2 posts a month. Go and schedule those 4, 5, 6 posts out early and just get it out of the way. Okay. I think that's really, really key. But here's how we like to build out a really simple content calendar. And we like to plan it out in a month. We've got 3 steps for you to build a content calendar here on LinkedIn. So here's a little bit of a freebie for you. All right. Step 1, where are you going? Especially for the sales team. Okay. We're going to all these different places. Hopefully see you at Martech Summit, March 2 through 5. But if you're going, tell people that you're going to be going. Let's get out ahead of it and invite people to make an appointment or come and see us. Put it on people's radar. So that should be a post. But I also think that while your boots are on the ground at these events, we should really be pretty visible in LinkedIn, especially from a company page. I think we could do more on the company page and also from that personal page. So be kind of a blowtorch when you're on the ground, boots on the ground. And the types of posts that I really like to see people considering are like, what did I learn today? What was a highlight from today? What was, share some of the wealth, the knowledge, go and tell people all the different things that you're seeing and hearing in the industry. What are your opinions on some of these keynotes? Really get out there. So the first step is really just go to your calendar, figure out where you are, build in some pre-promos to let people know that you are going to be there. But then when your boots and heels are on the ground, make sure that you're visible and you're doing maybe a post a day. Get loud there, okay? Now, the other step 2, is use a rotation of regular themes. Okay. And this is going to kind of show itself here in the next couple of slides. But think about themes, daily themes, weekly themes when it comes to unique venues, different meeting planner tips, different incentives you might have, testimonials, different activities, nightlife, weddings, some of the blog posts that you're working on. Team member features, those are always really, really good. And also like call to actions, like straight up, like fill out this RFP, download our meeting planner guide, stuff like that can be really, really impactful. But what we're going to do in this example is like, we're going to be, say we're going to be at MPI at this time in this calendar. All I'm going to do is I'm going to go and start working my way through some of these themes. So I'm doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You can do Tuesday, Thursday, or whatever, right? Do whatever you want. But you just rotate through the themes. So we're going to do venue, tip, incentive, testimonial. We're boots on the ground here. We're not worried about this at all, but we're going to do nightlife, weddings, relevant blogs, team member, and we're just rotate right back into our themes here into venue, tip, incentive. This starts to paint a picture for you. So once a month, just go ahead and look and identify something very specific for each one of these themes. It's going to help you tell a really good, well-rounded story. And you don't have to do all 10 of these. You can pick 3, 4 of them, some low-hanging fruit, some stuff that you feel like you can do really, really well or very easily. But I think the key is to do a variety of these, a bigger variety of these, so you can actually kind of see what works and what doesn't work. And then as you start to discover what works, hone in your content strategy to lean into those other things. I always like varying our post types with this as well. So, the first one might be an image text post. The next one could be a poll. The next one could be a text post, a video, a document, etc. Just try to find that recipe of the post types and things that are really resonating with your audiences. And you're going to be in really, really good shape. Okay. So a content plan can be that simple. Again, you could do 1 post a week. You could do 2, 3 posts a week. Whatever, find a rhythm that works for you. And then the third step is really just taking control. All right. So the other piece of LinkedIn, and they're really advocating for this is the official guide to employee advocacy, is they want employees of organizations to amplify content. So when you publish on your company page in all these different themes off your content calendar, tell the staff that it's time for them to go and share it. And when they go and share it, they're going to share it with their thoughts. They're going to add just a couple little thoughts about what they're doing, and then they're going to post. The power of amplifying this way helps us kind of get into these personal networks, which honestly are more valuable than the company page followers. It's a great way to just distribute your stories and get a bunch of different touch points on a single piece of content. So the company page pushes out a piece of content. You tell the employees to go and share it on their LinkedIn. Now, all of a sudden, you've got a ton of distribution happening for that post. And it 100% does work. Like here's Discover Kalamazoo Sports. They posted about their team Tuesday. Madison here got mentioned in that post. Brian, he's the sales guy over there. He published it onto his personal page. People started commenting on the article, and then Madison hopped in and started commenting and contributing to the story. So it all amplifies and works with itself. The whole idea of the employee advocacy on LinkedIn is what they want and is what they're really pushing for. So that's something that we should 100% be trying to do. So I would encourage you to try it now, and not only just try it now, I would do it now. Just do this stuff. The last little piece for today, and kind of this last little 5 minutes, let's talk real quick about running some paid programs. If you haven't already, please go and install what's called the LinkedIn Insight tag onto the meeting planner pages of your website or the sports pages of your site. This operates just like the Metapixel, and it's going to allow people who are logged in to LinkedIn who visit your website to be captured into those audiences that we can use in paid programs. And additionally, those people can be turned into those lookalike audiences to where we can build audiences of people who should want to be connected to you in some way. Again, if your leisure marketing is using Metapixel, your groups, meetings, and conventions should be using the LinkedIn Insight tag to build some of these audiences. The other thing I'll say is like, don't be afraid to use the boosted post, just like you would maybe on Meta for LinkedIn posts. It's actually a pretty good tool and can help you reach some highly qualified people. You can go to specific industries. You can go and find certain job functions, job titles, things like that. Again, we're looking for unicorns here, so we have to use some of these tools. The boosted post is great on LinkedIn. It's a great place to start. But just like everything else, LinkedIn Ads is another one of those tools that just has a ton of options. We can do ads for images, carousels, videos. We can do lead gen ads. I mean, there is no shortage of different opportunities. I personally like website visits and video views, especially on LinkedIn. The video content that we've been producing has been really off the hook. For LinkedIn, I would also just say that be prepared for some higher cost per clicks, right? $5, $6, $7. But just remember, any piece of business that you do convert on this is probably going to be, 20, 30, 40, 100, 200 room nights. So spending that money can be really good. I'd encourage you to have some money set aside here for LinkedIn. And then just real quick to kind of wrap things up, here's just kind of an idea of how you could run one of those programs. You could run like an awareness ad on LinkedIn to talk about, a specific topic. And then in phase 2, start doing some retargeting of people who read that topic. And then follow up in phase 3 with running a lead gen ad. So here's kind of an example of what that would look like. We're going to run a LinkedIn traffic ad for 5 reasons XYZ is perfect for your next meeting blog. And then we're going to run a remarketing campaign at people who engaged with that blog in a lookalike. And then we'll go step 3 in the funnel, and we'll retarget those users again and expand our audience with 5 unique ways XYZ helps meeting planners. And then we can do another lead gen campaign. So LinkedIn ads are a great way to like really start nurturing some of these audiences. And you can even start targeting some of these venues and conference centers and things too. So it's pretty cool. One last thing before I head on out, just wanted to let you guys know that we have seen really great success using native and display placements for group business. So I would roll that into the mix that we just kind of talked about. So LinkedIn ads, Facebook leads, possibly, but then native and display ads would be kind of rolled into that whole piece. And that's going to really help you drive some quality traffic and help you leverage the data, right? That LinkedIn Insight tag can do some crazy, crazy, crazy good stuff. So do it now. Don't wait. That LinkedIn Insight tag needs time in order to populate. So don't hold off. I would get that going right away. As always, remember that hope is not a strategy. And if you never try any of this stuff, you're never really going to know. Progress on this stuff can be a little bit slow. It's a bit of a long haul for sure. But I'm telling you, those who stick with it, they do see results. And LinkedIn can be a really vital piece of the marketing funnel for groups and meetings. If you haven't already, please connect with 26 Digital. If you want to work with 26, go ahead, scan that QR code. I will give you a copy of the presentation here afterwards. And just don't forget about Destination Uplift. If you like this kind of learning, we're doing monthly webinars, for your partners where we can teach all of these skills to people all the time. So be sure to check out Destination Uplift. If you'd like to book a quick call with me, you can do that just to chat about some other things. Scan the code here. Let's book a call. Let's talk about Destination Uplift and offering that to your local partners as well. So I'm going to let you go here. I want to thank One West Alliance for this. I hope that everybody got something out of today's program. This was a little bit of a fire hose, but there's so much to talk about when it comes to LinkedIn.
Brian, that was awesome. Thank you. I know that everybody is going to be super busy, including myself, updating our LinkedIn and getting a lot more active. Hey, if you have time, Scott from Rapid City had a question.
Sure.
He says, two quick things. Photos and videos should be in high res. Nothing is worse than pixelated content. Two, what is your opinion on personal LinkedIn premium accounts? Is it worth it?
I tested one out. I didn't find much use for it personally. I actually just felt like I had great success. And this kind of depends on your sales process as well, right? I build it through relationships and who I meet. And my personal policy is always like, if I haven't like really met you in person or worked with you directly on some program, I'm usually not going to add you to my LinkedIn. But if you're prospecting and stuff, yeah, there's definitely a role. But I didn't see a lot of value for the way that I do sales, if that makes sense. So I'd say anything's worth a try. Everybody's kind of different strokes, different folks. So yeah, I heard good things about it. For me personally, it just wasn't something that I saw a ton of value in.
Awesome, Brian. Thank you. That was awesome. Thank you, all of you, so much for joining us for round one of our One West Academy quarterly edition. Our next course is on February 26th. 11 a.m. Pacific time. You should all have an invite already on your calendar. And the course after that is March 19th. Again, that should be on your calendar. If you don't have that Zoom link, please let me know. And as always, as Brian said, please reach out to him with any further questions. He's a wealth of knowledge. And Brian, we love having you always. Thank you.
Thanks so much for the opportunity. Have an awesome day, everybody.
Take care. Thank you, everyone.